Hey guys, wanted to do a little comparison video here for you between two pistols that I own. The gun on the left here is a Glock Model 36 subcompact Glock in 45 ACP, and the gun on the right here is a Springfield XD40 subcompact. This is chambered in 40 Smith & Wesson. I don't necessarily feel that these guns compete with each other in the market for two major reasons. First of all, this is a single stack magazine design. Unlike most Glocks, this only has single stack, not double stack magazines, as well as this is chambered in 45 ACP, and this is 40 Smith & Wesson. I would think that this gun on the right directly competes with the Glock Model 27, which is a subcompact 40 Smith & Wesson Glock. So I would much rather compare those two guns. However, I don't own those two guns, and people did request a comparison between these two. So I just want to give you a couple pros and cons and some ideas that came across with me handling both guns. I will say right off the bat too that I have not yet fired this gun. This is strictly first impressions and ergonomics. Nothing to do with actually firing the gun. Some things may change with firing the gun. I don't know yet because I haven't fired it yet. But I will give you an update, of course, if my opinions change on it. But anyway, first let me show you that both guns are in fact unloaded. Nothing in the chamber here, nothing in the magazine. Same with the Glock. Nothing in the chamber, nothing in the magazine. First thing I noticed with these guns is because I was handling this one so much, the Springfield, in recent days since I purchased it, I found that when I transitioned back to the Glock felt really wide. Not wide this way, but wide this way. And if I take the magazines out, so you can get a better view of the handles here, or the grips rather, you can see the difference here. The Glock grip is wider, or longer I should say, than the Springfield. Again, Springfield XD40 on the left, Glock Model 36 on the right. Okay. However, because this is a double stack magazine and this is a single stack magazine, you can see that the mag wells are different. The Glock 36 is slimmer. It's not as wide. You have a wider magazine well in the XD. So what I found between these two guns is that when I was holding the XD, it felt more rounded, more like a circle. A little bit more comfortable, to be honest. When I transitioned back to the Glock felt more oval, elongated. I felt like I had to stretch a little bit for the grip. Now, I've had extensive training with the 36 since I purchased it. It is my current carry gun, and I do a lot of drills with it, both with live ammunition and at home, just dry, with no ammunition at all, or sometimes snap caps. So I am very used to the feel of the Glock. But again, from handling this so much since I purchased it, switching back over, it feels like I'm stretching my fingers a little bit longer because the grip's a little bit longer. So something just to note there. As far as actual sizes on these guns, the XD is in fact shorter. You can see here, do a direct comparison. Put these bases together. See, so it's shorter by probably I don't want to guess here, but I don't know, maybe half an inch, 3/4 of an inch. So it is literally a shorter gun. And it does have a shorter barrel. Let me show you real quick that these are the barrels on these. Let me make sure it's unloaded again before I dry fire. Actually, see, I'm doing that. I'm so used to doing the Glock, I don't have to dry fire like that on the XD. The XD, break it down, you lock it back, make sure it's empty, of course. I switch this lever up, let that go forward, pull the trigger, then pull it off. As opposed to the Glock, again, which I'm so used to. The Glock, I would just dry fire and bring back and pull the slide off. So let me show you, first of all, the internals are very similar on both guns. Obviously, the Springfield was kind of designed after the Glock. Now, I also learned too by a couple of my viewers that this isn't a Springfield design. Springfield bought the rights to the design. I forget the original manufacturer who actually made this. I believe they're located in Croatia. But anyway, I forgot their name. But it's not a Springfield original design. They just happen to purchase the rights to it so they can use it in their XD series. But anyway, the internals are very, very similar. Slides obviously very similar most ways. Pop these recoil springs out, and I'll show you the barrels. Alright, here's the Glock barrel on the left and the Springfield barrel on the right. So you can see again, shorter, literally shorter slides, so they're going to have shorter barrels. And of course the sight radius is a little shorter as well on the XD. If I line up the rear sights, you can see the difference between the rear and the front. So of course over longer distances you're going to have more accuracy with the Glock. Again, just longer barrel, longer slide, longer sight radius, a little bit more accurate. So pop these back together real quick. Oop. Be nice if I matched up the right slide of the right gun, huh? Alright, so just some simple comparisons between the Glock 36 and of course the Springfield XD40. It's subcompact. A little bit smaller of a gun, a little bit, I don't know, I guess I like the grip a little bit more on the XD. Obviously it's not as canted. You can see on the Glocks they're more angled than on the XDs. It's more of a straight up and down, so the angle's a little bit different. This is more 1911 style, a little bit straighter, as opposed to the Glock is angled a little bit more. I mean, it's minute, but when you're shooting you do have to shoot a little bit differently because of it. Of course, if you're used to shooting the Glock, not a big deal. If you're an all-time Glock fan and then you switch over to the XD, it might be a little bit of an adjustment for you as far as how you aim and all that. Last thing I want to talk about real quick is triggers. Remove the magazines. Real quick check again. I'm empty. Alright, I'm empty. Triggers. I feel that the Springfield XD trigger, it feels a little bit better. It's definitely a lighter trigger pull. As I'm pulling on, there's less, it's literally just a lighter trigger. I could feel it just in staging the gun. Staging is just bringing out that slack so you get right up against where it almost stops before you fire the gun. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't know the technical terms for it, but I do the same thing when I shoot the Glock. As I stage it, I bring it back to that point where any more movement is going to fire it. So I can, once I stage it, then I can get a better sight picture, and I have less travel to actually fire the gun. But there's more resistance. It's a heavier trigger pull with the stock trigger on the Glock than it is with the Springfield. So something just to consider there. Again, I have to really fire the guns to know the difference with actually firing. Dry firing is different than firing live ammo. So anyway, those are some of my initial impressions and differences and comparisons between the Glock 36 and the Springfield XD40 subcompact. I still prefer the Glock, but I have no trigger time or shooting experience with the XD yet. I have heard a couple things because of the fact that it is a smaller gun, subcompact, and it has a higher bore axis. In other words, the actual barrel itself is higher up off the top of your hand, so it is going to kick a little bit more. But because this is 45 and this is a 40, I'm guessing they're going to be somewhat similar in recoil and follow-up shots. But I'll have to get to get to shooting to really know that for sure. But I wanted to make this video again. It was requested by a few people, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't. But if you're entertained, that's the point, right? Anyway, I really appreciate you watching, like always, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.